The Nordic Coven is a whole new concept in Underworld 5.
We wanted to take the story to a new coven.
The Eastern Coven and the Northern Coven are really opposite.
It was very interesting going back to a world where you've already explored, but reintroducing yourself to a whole bunch of new characters and a whole new concept.
Follow me. These characters are so enticing, and it really transports you to another world.
When you find David and Thomas again, they're trying to find safe passage, essentially, and they've gone to the east.
'Tis said that the Western Coven was utterly destroyed.
Yes, it was.
It's a blessing you escaped with your life.
Well, many did not.
Charles played a significant role in Underworld 4, and it's wonderful to have him back. When you watch the dailies or you watch scenes that he's in, you realize why he's been a leading man for 40 years.
I think Thomas, he's a well-respected elder, father of David, a father figure in the coven, really. I lost so much during this war. And believe me, I am haunted still by all those I failed. And we learn a little about an episode in his past.
You were very fond of Emilia, if I remember.
You must go north, far north, Vardor.
David is more the reluctant hero because he, as somebody who really usually turned his back to coven and responsibility in a way.
Do you know who this is?
Yes. But it was we who betrayed her, Father. David, he's a less traditional vampire. He doesn't believe in some of the old ways.
Father and son united in treason.
He's also a bit of a rebel, and through the film, he kind of discovers a little bit more about his origins and where he came from, and thus what he has to lose.
His father sends him to the north, not only to find sanctuary for Celine, but as well to find answers.
David.
For David to realize suddenly that he is actually the son of an elder makes him the rightful heir to the Eastern Coven, which gives him the responsibility to protect and lead.
Thomas knew that one day he would be beset by enemies on both sides, and he was right.
I think the Northern Coven, and Vidar being the leader of them, just decided they want to live in a peaceful way. They want to remove themselves from the war.
We come seeking sanctuary, not to fight. And you've come to the right place.
I picture Vidar like a guy that once was a bit of a warrior, but now he has sort of retired to this kingdom of his, and he's living in peace with his daughter Lena and his people, the northern vampires, who are of the friendly sort.
Our coven doesn't receive many guests by design. We do as we wish, not as others would have us do.
And what of the lichens?
We are too far removed for them to take notice, and even if they did, our climate is quite an obstacle to warm bloods.
There is a strong difference between the Eastern and the Nordic Coven, not only aesthetically, but actually the energy that you get from both of the places. And the Nordic has this more tranquil feel about it. There's not fighting and violence. It's a lot more to do with sort of the studies of their tradition and deepening their knowledge.
This has been a coven that's been living almost autonomously for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's never had anything to do with the war on the lichens. And as a result, they've become sort of ascetic, monk-like in their practices.
Come.
What is this?
Valisa, the in-between place.
Is she dead?
No. She took a poison which allows her to visit the sacred world.
Lena is something like a seer, and this whole other world is kind of a bit of a mystery, and Lena tells us she's traveled back and forth.
Lena, I think, has this ability to be actually quite connected to people and accepting, and I'm very fortunate in the sense that I get to really explore the spiritual elements, which touches some of the other characters as well along the way.
I wanted to have the Northern Coven have their own language, and I didn't want to just make something up, so we found the language of Sami, which is very north of Lapland. There's only very few people that still speak that original language, so there is this mystery of, okay, this is another world and another language as well.
Is the life that has lived.
War has followed you here.
Protect your own.
There seems to be an unlimited amount of mileage in anything to do with vampires. It just goes on and on and on, rather like the creatures themselves. It's nice to do a bit of swashbuckling, especially at my age, and it was great fun to do.
I was 7 weeks out of drama school and I had the audition. I feel very lucky that this is my first ever job, so let alone my first ever film. They have such a great legacy of fantastic British actors, so I just was really excited that I was able to sort of be a part of the next generation.
Lycans are not the superior breed that we vampires are. They're scruffy, and they make a lot of mess, and they have to be dealt with in short order.
Lycans function really well as a pack, whereas vampires work well as solitary creatures. But ultimately, they're the same. They want to come out on top. It's survival of the fittest.
A huge aspect of vampire coven life is intrigue, and in this one even clearer than before. There are like several people that have their own agenda.
We are losing the war, Thomas. If we stay as we are, our species will be extinct within 5 years. The Eastern Coven is under threat, and we as a species need all the help that we can get.
The Eastern Coven is perhaps a little bit arrogant in its ways. It's done a pretty good job of fending off Lycan attacks for however many years, and with that, I think, grows a certain level of hubris.
No Lycan pack would dare to attack our coven. Our defenses would rip them apart.
Cassius, he's the leader of the council, and James brought a gravitas to that, which was really fantastic.
Cassius was of the old school, and as leader of the council, he's responsible not just for the history of the coven, but also for its discipline. And he feels that Selene in the past has transgressed too much to be allowed safe passage.
You need Selene. Her prowess, her leadership, her intimate knowledge of Lycans. And her combat skills are second to none.
He's right, she is the most lethal death dealer we've ever had.
She killed one of her own. I acknowledge her skills, but I don't trust the woman. I don't think Cassius trusts any women, curiously. He's not keen on the daughters of Eve, Cassius. I will hold you, Samira, personally responsible for controlling her.
Of course.
Samira is just as dangerous, but subtler.
Samira is a chameleon and has an endless thirst for power, depending on who she's around. She transforms and manipulates a situation to her advantage.
She's like an incredible chess player.
Do you honestly think I would forgive you for killing Victor? Anna just has the most extraordinary energy. Her eyes would always light up when she would talk about Samira, because she just knew how much fun we could have. That, my sweet yet unimaginative bedfellow, is my area of expertise.
I think you should.
Don't think, Farker, you'll hurt yourself.
Bradley plays a character who is sort of under the thumb of Samira, but he also has enmity and resentment towards Samira.
Varga has very much a militant station within the Coven. There's many a death dealer in the Coven, and Varga tells him what to do. I think he is a relatively responsible leader in that regard. I say that, he murders a bunch of cadets. But it's for the greater good.
Alexia represents the sort of new wave and young blood, and with her youth, she's quite headstrong. She becomes a little bit vulnerable. She represents changing times and the new way of approaching things.
She is betraying the vampires.
Have you found Selene?
Yes, she is headed for the Nordic Coven.
So she has to play the role two different ways. Daisy was able to bring both the vulnerability and also the severity that you need for that role.
I risk everything for this. For you. For us.
I know, my love.
With Marius, Selene is facing probably her most fierce opponent yet.
Marius is a more political, more disciplined foe than maybe the vampires have experienced.
Are you a slave?
No.
Then don't behave like one.
He is planning and he's organizing and he is basically plotting in a way we haven't seen Lycans work like that.
He is attempting to instill greater discipline, greater strategic thinking into the sort of Lycan mentality. To be totally honest, I quite like a baddie, a villain. I think they often can be quite rewarding and rich people to play because in a way the challenge is to make them multifaceted and more than just a person doing bad stuff.
Your leader is dead! Take your wounded. Leave.
It's a delight to play a vampire, and a particularly difficult vampire.
What is the meaning of this?
Who is willing to bare his teeth and hiss at anybody.
It's been fun, exhilarating, scary.
There's a lot of new characters, a lot of younger actors.
It's been wonderful to kind of come and join the family.
You can feel Anna kind of pushing the bounds of that genre and trying to sort of reinvent it and make it something fresh.
It's damn good entertainment, you know, and very, very stylish.
I just think it's everyone's dress-up dream. There's swords, there's guns, there's a lot of leather and fangs.
Long may it continue.